So you already know that by rearranging the layers in the layers panel, we can change the stacking order. And we know that things that are higher on the layers list are higher in the stacking order. So sometimes it's hard to find things in the layers when you don't know where they are. You didn't make the file, for example. So you can find it on the artboard, but you don't know where it corresponds to in the layers panel. So the first thing I want to do is, if you can't read all of the words here, if for some reason this area is, oops, let me get back there, is shorter and you can't read all the words, make sure you drag this to the left so that you can easily see all of the words in the layers panel. I'm just going to pull that back up there. So make sure you can read everything over here before we move on. With our selection tool, we're going to click on the words Terraform Hikers in our artboard. And then we're going to come over to our layers panel, and we're going to go down to the very bottom, and we're going to see a magnifying glass, and it says Locate Object. If we click on that, it will expand the main layer and any sub-layers that it needs to show us where that is located. So you can see that it's part of a group, and the sand and cinnamon is one part, and the Terraform Hikers is another part. So this reveals it for us. We'll also see the blue selection dot to the right of it, and we're on a blue layer. So we see a blue outline here, and we see blue in our layers panel. So this is where we find it in our layers panel. We also want to find the 145. So we're going to hold down Shift when we click on that on our artboard to select it as well. And we're going to look for it in our layers panel. We should see a selection indicator now to the right of the 145. This one was added to it. It's not part of that group. It's actually part of a group above it, but it's also now selected. So with these three things, we want to group them. So we're going to use a shortcut called Command G for group. That actually makes sense. Notice this made a group, and if we twirl it open, we'll see that the 145 is in here, and so is the original group that contained Terraform Hikers and the color sand and cinnamon. So that's good. We do want to twirl this group shut, however, and give it a better name. So we're going to double click on the word group, and we're going to change that to description. So you can tell that we're making the layout or a mock-up for a phone app that is going to sell tennis shoes, so, or whatever, hikers, not tennis shoes. So this we just renamed description. All right, we're going to twirl that shut. We're also going to twirl the phone body shut and the phone content. It's kind of just a good practice to twirl things shut when you're not using them, because it keeps your layers panel more organized and less visibly cluttered and traumatic. So come back to your artboard and click away to deselect all of that. The next thing we're going to learn is how we move content between layers. So we're going to move the artwork to the different layers to take advantage of these sub-layers that we've created. Next, we're going to learn how to move content between layers. So in our artwork, with our selection tool, we're going to select the Terraform Hikers group, which also grabbed the $145, and we're going to see our selection icon here. So we're going to twirl open the phone body, and we're going to see it is in fact this group that we just made called description. What we want to do is move this from the layer of phone body up to the layer of the phone content up here. So the easiest way to do this is just to click on this blue box, the selected artwork. We're going to click and we're going to drag it all the way up to the phone content. Notice it turned green because that layer is green, and when we let go, it is now going to be part of this layer. So we moved it up in the layer stack, but perhaps more importantly, we organized it, putting it in the content family. So the whole thing was moved by using the selected art box. And notice it also now has a green bounding box. We're going to click away to deselect that. We need to show the content of both the phone body and the phone layer, the phone body and the phone content layers, so we're good there. With our selection tool, we're going to come back to our artboard and we're going to marquee right above the add to bag, and we're going to come down into this black rectangle, but we're not going to get this white rectangle. So make a marquee selection like this, and notice that there are things in this black rectangle, or better yet behind it, that are being hidden. There's a house, a person, a magnifying glass, and a heart. Those shapes or paths are underneath this black rectangle and are currently hidden to us. In our layers panel, we're going to come over here and we're going to see where they are. So here's a group that's currently targeted, here's a group that's currently targeted, and here's a group that's currently targeted. So what we want to do is click one of these group objects that has the selection indicator. So we're going to click this one, which takes care of these two, by the way. To get the others, we're going to hold down. Well, I had to back up a little there and do some editing. So we have highlighted this. We have done a marquee selection, and we see our different groups here. What we need to do now is select one and then hold down Command and select the other two groups. And we are going to move all three of these into the footer. And instead of using the little squares like we just did, we're going to click and hold, and we're going to drag these up into the footer. So when it lights up blue, not below it, but the whole thing lights up blue, click to let go. And that moved all of those groups that we had just targeted into the footer. Now that those elements are safely in the footer, we can twirl that shut, and we can actually twirl shut everything. Whoops, shut, shut, shut. There we go. We're down to our main three, and we can deselect this on our artboard, and we're going to save our file at a certain point, and this is page 286. So save your file, and we will continue from there.